Good morning. We have a view of our sun this morning. Unfortunately, we cannot get videos. Government is still in shutdown, and it may take a week or so after they approve the end of the shutdown to get our feeds back. So we're going to kind of have to guess at a few things here. We can see here that we have really extremely high filament loops coming out of the CME here. I have never seen a sunspot look this snarky before. This is really interesting to watch. We have some very strong and high reaching filaments in between 42, 47 and the developing coronal hole that should be Earth facing today. Now, I know a lot of you are thinking, oh, we're not going to get anything else from 4274, but you'd be wrong. This could be with us even as it rotates around the backside because it is so large and because it could drop something so big that we get what we call a shock wave. If you think about watching a nuclear blast, how the blast happens and then there's this shock wave that comes across the bottom, that can still hit us even when it's directly opposing on the opposite side of Earth. And it has happened numerous times in the last 15 years that we've gotten a shock wave from around the limb. So just because this rotates out of view, do not think it's not done. Most of our sunspots down here aren't doing much, but we can start to see the incoming sunspots and activity. I do believe there's a coronal hole back there as well. Overnight, we dropped no flaring whatsoever, but we did drop a full halo CME, unfortunately, because everything is so flooded with solar wind and solar particles out there that for the last 24 hours, our feeds, our cactus, have been nothing but snow. There's just that much out there. And I look for this to continue with these sunspots or with these CMEs. This one's hard to see, but it's going kind of off the incoming limb. This one may not going to hit us. The other two will. This is a full halo hit moving downward, so that is likely going to impact us. So we have stuff coming. We have the incoming CME that happened with the solar flare. That is still coming at us. This is probably the X-class flare. So based on what the cactus is looking like, I'd say it's only going to get better. So looking at our sunspots, 42 is basically what would normally be on the it's not going to hit us phase now, but it's so big that it's going to hit us even as it rotates around the limb. Most of these are down to alpha and beta class. They're not doing much, but let's take a look at this sunspot. It has grown by 20 new spots overnight. Well, actually, since about 4 o'clock this morning, when I last looked at the radar, we are down about 120 million miles across. But that is because this is starting to draw up. I mean, you can almost see a rotation to this. It's starting to draw in like a well-organized hurricane. So as this continues to tighten the margins, it's going to get more eruptive and it's going to get stronger even yet. I don't remember a time recently that we've been at a 55% chance of an X-class flare. And so right now, it's at a reorganization phase. It's growing and creating new spots and tightening its rotation or tightening up the formation of the storm. This one's going to drop a big one. It's just a question of when. Looking at our long-term forecast, they have not adjusted this. We should have storming conditions the 13th and the 14th as well. I expect what dropped today to hit on the 14th. And I would guess probably through possibly into the 18th, we could still have storming conditions, just based on what I'm seeing. Tonight, we want to expect this at about 1500 hours, which is roughly 3 o'clock in the afternoon. This should start an onset and last till close to midnight. There's just so much upset. I look for this to go way beyond what we expect. I look to be at a KP9 for longer than expected, just because we have so much that has hit earlier and perturbed Earth's atmosphere, that what's continuing to impact it will just make it bubble up even more. Looking at the stereo space center, we can see right here is where we're at with the limb, which would be right about here. We're starting to see these rotate in, and we have 2 fairly decent sunspots on the back side of the sun. We should have a corona hole back there as well, so we're not out of the running. We might get a brief break for a few days and more storm conditions. So let's go to our cloud map. Tonight, lower Michigan, you're going to be in the ball game. A little bit of western Michigan, but eastern UP, tip of the mitt, Traverse City area, we're going to be getting lake effect snow. They are predicting 3 to 4 inches of snow, and that is a potential there for that to hit. NOAA just dropped this map today. Lake effect snow tonight, down into the Manistee area. So more than likely we'll have to get below Manistee, Ludington to get any activity at all. We have a new forecasting tool on Space Weather Live. It's called HUXT. This is out of the UK. It uses the satellite data from what we have, but it's just going to get us a little bit different view. It is listing the CMEs here, so you can see the EMEs and how wide they are, how big they are, and how if they're going to be 100% halo hit. And we do, you can see we've got a 100% halo hit here. They're predicting everything is going to stay between the margins of just a little over 700 kilometers, and the slowest one being 75. Don't foresee a whole lot of scoop shovel out of this one for moving forward from today, but, and here's the but, there is just so much out here that for the last 24 hours, Cactus hasn't been able to see anything because there's just that much hitting the satellites. They're just snowed out. Every successive CME that keeps adding to that disturbed state is going to be a little bit bigger than expected, I think. So by the early morning hours, it should start clearing up toward Traverse City, and the snow should dissipate. Thursday night, Michigan should be clear. Minnesota, lower Wisconsin, you're going to have a problem seeing things, but that pocket of snow there, that little squally line, should dissipate as we go through the overnight hours, and move down into Ohio and Indiana. But Western US, you're not going to see the auroras. Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, New York, you're going to have some issues seeing the auroras. But as of last night, we were seeing auroras down in Florida. So you may want to contact your friends that are in the South and say, hey, look up. Sky cover Friday. Michigan should be great. Minnesota, you're going to start losing out as we go into the overnight hours. Minnesota and Wisconsin will eventually get clouded out. Michigan should stay partly cloudy, and you'll have to hunt and peck for the holes, but you should see something. Saturday night, we're going to start out in Michigan with nothing. But as we go through the overnight hours, shortly after Michigan, the west side of the state should have squally breaks in the clouds. And that should continue on through the morning hours. Sunday, we are back to this lake effect snow. So the eastern UP, tip of the mitt, is out of bounds. You're not going to see anything. So don't run to the Mackinac Dark Sky Park. You're not going to see anything. You want to stay lower in Michigan. And that will continue through the overnight hours. We're going to get heavy, strong lake effect snow from the next bout of weather. Monday night, I don't think anybody's going to have much of a shot as the next storm system moves in. But by Tuesday, Dakotas, Minnesota, western Wisconsin, into the overnight hours, into Michigan, should start to see some availability if we still have activity going on Tuesday. So, another little interesting tidbit that I found this really cool map, and we will discuss this in depth another time. That shows the different types of rock beneath our feet. What you're standing on matters as much as what you're standing above you. Because in some areas like New York City, South Carolina, North Carolina, and through the mountains there, that rock is very dense. So solar particles come into Earth, and some parts of the crust will absorb them. But in places like the mountains in the east, will reflect them. So you are in more danger when we get a large storm than anybody, because that rock is not going to allow the particles to absorb into Earth. It's going to bounce it back up and amplify things. So this is why some areas get better viewing, is because of the rock beneath our feet. Like we have a kink that goes down over Michigan. In the ovation, there's a kink that goes down over Michigan, and that's large in part because we have a lot of iron ore that reflects things back up and doesn't allow it to absorb. So I just thought that was an interesting map and something you guys might want to look up. All right, happy hunting, everybody. This is our timeline for right now, but this is so perturbed. I think you're going to see activity all the time. And right now, give me a minute, we are still at a KP5 and due to rise up to a KP6 soon. So we're still in perturbed conditions. So in Michigan, you should be able to see anything. You're going to see things in Texas, Florida. So get on the internet, let your friends in the South know, let people that you know that live down there. You're going to get a chance at seeing the auroras. Good hunting, everybody, and I want to see lots and lots of pictures in groups.